Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Forge. I'm DML and today I've got something a little different for you. So I've got two new Kukri to introduce to you, but I also wanted to have a little bit of a chat in sort of highlight ways in which these are similar and ways in which they're actually the complete opposite. I want to sort of highlight size, point of balance and weight and how that all sort of ties in together with these. All right, so for starters, we've got EternalWing, the EternalWing Kukri. Now, this is the first handmade Kukri in Nepal that's made out of 80CRV2 steel. So I want to send a massive thanks to Kailash Blades and Andrew Lucas for getting the steel to Nepal so they could forge it. It's actually based off an antique, my Interwar Officer's Kukri. If you haven't seen that, I did a review on it recently. I'll put the link in the description. You can go back and check that out. I've made some changes to it. So sort of copper and brass handle with stacked leather. And of course my sort of smallish guard and finger choil. So you can choke up like this for your point of balance, closer to your point of balance, which is fairly forward on this one. It's about 4.5 inches. So this doesn't weigh much. It's a 13-inch blade and the blade itself weighs, what's that? That's 540 grams for the Kukri, 13-inch blade, and you can see it is thick. So I think it's 9 mil or 8 mil at the thickest point. 9 millimeters thick at the thickest point. All right, and it tapers off into nothing. It tapers off to 2 mil before the tip. An incredible piece, and it's kind of it doesn't have to be one of a kind. I'm sure if you hit up Kailash Blades, they'll be able to make you one of these. It just won't be an 80CRV2 unless we can figure out a supply line. But it is kind of my ideal using Kukri for everything. It's large enough, like wide enough I can choke up and use it for kitchen work. It's light enough that I can do that without tiring out my hand. I can come back and carve with it. I can come back and chop with it. Thick enough I can hammer with it if I need to. Obviously it's not meant for that, but that's what it can do. Super fine edge, super duper fine edge. So I'm going to test this soon and see how it holds up in use. I've already used it for some kitchen work and some chopping and stuff. It's held up fine so far, all right? But the idea of this, small, compact, heavy hitting, but fine edged. Very versatile, use a Kukri. Then we have Sowilo. Now, in some ways it's similar, in others it's not. Sowilo is a 16-inch bladed Kukri, so quite a lot larger. And it's about 8 mil thick at the bolster, tapers down to, I think, 1 mil before the tip. So very, very fine edge. Very fine tip, fine edge, everything. This is 5160, this one. It's got a mirror polished bevel and then a forge finished blade. So the primary bevel, there is no secondary bevel. It's just a high constant convex, which is my favorite kind of grind. And razor sharp again, super fine edged. It's got a combination handle of leather and wood with copper fixtures and my keeper at the bottom. Point of balance, I believe, is only 2 inches. And that's what makes all the difference with these. This weighs, what's this one weigh? This weighs 710 grams, I believe. So it's 715 grams, but it doesn't feel like it. It's very, very nimble. And you can whip that around. And it just moves. It moves lightning fast, very easy, doesn't put any strain on the wrist or anything like that, moving it quickly. It's very simple and easy to move. This one is actually lighter but harder to move than this because of the point of balance being so far back on this. All right, and that makes all the difference. This is how these are opposite. This will hit harder, even though it's lighter, depending on how you use it. This won't hit as hard, but the tip speed gets the job done instead. So this is closer to like a machete or a sword, that's closer to an axe, but they're both Kukri, all right? So that's kind of what we're talking about here today. Also introducing, of course, Sowilo and EternalWing Kukri. Now, this one was made by Santosh Shankar. He's the one that also made Bushmaster. And between Bushmaster and this, polar opposites. Bushmaster is a heavyweight, heavy use, short, compact hatchet, basically, in kukri form. This is more like a machete or a sword in use. And that's the difference. Still a little bit heavier, like for this same amount of weight in a true sword, you'd have something a lot longer, all right? That's just the way it is, because it's quite a bit thicker at the back here, but it's a kukri. Anyway, I'll start rambling if I don't stop myself now. So I wanted to just have a quick look and showcase these, which I'll give you a flyover in a second, and explain the differences. Total weight of these two, so for EternalWing, total weight is 720 grams. For Sowilo, 960 grams. I've always said around 700 grams for the kukri and around 1 kilo for the whole kit is my limit. Now, even though this is lightning quick, total weight is still very close to my limit. This is an easy all-day carry. You know, there's nothing to it, right? Quick dimensions on these, besides the weights, is 13-inch blade, 4.5-inch handle, so it's a small handle. You'll see that you can't actually see the bolster when I hold it. That's because of the way I grip these. I rest my thumb on the bolster. And it gives me both, it sort of gives me my edge alignment, as well as it's just super comfortable when I'm swinging around, because these are mostly a chopping thing, but that little guard will prevent my hand slipping forward if I'm stabbing. All right, so as I was saying, 4.5-inch handle, 9mm thick, tapers down to 2mm thick before the final tip. It's a split peen tang, leather stack handle, copper and brass. Lightweight, hits like a freight train, super versatile. It's a user and I love it. Right, Sowilo is a 16-inch blade, 2 inches wide, 8mm thick at the bolster, tapers to nothing at the tip. All right, 5.5-inch handle, and it's got a beautiful sort of Coke bottle shape tapering to it, if you can see that. So that gives you your indexing right up here. That's your indexing there. This finger tool is very sharp on the edges, so I'll either round that off, or considering its length, you don't really need a finger tool. You're not choking up from here to here is going to do nothing for this blade length. So I left that, I'm going to leave that sharp, and that's your striking point for a ferrocerium rod, or if you're creating fluff tinder from sticks and stuff, it'll just chew that up real quick, which is good. All right. The edge is quite thick right down at the bottom here. You're not going to be using that much. The useful part of this blade basically starts here to the tip. This part on this particular size doesn't do a whole lot. All right, and like I was saying, 710 or 12 for the kukri, and 900 and something, nearly a kilo for the total weight. So this is more weapon, this is more tool. Both kukri, similar-ish shapes, but completely different in many ways. So this, if you want to get one of these made, the EternalWing, it'll most likely be out of 5160 at this stage, but you can ask Kailash Blades and I'm sure they'll hit you, like they'll be able to make that for you. Santosh Shankar makes the Sowilo. Ambidextrous scabbards for both. All right, I'll do a quick sharpness demonstration as well. This one's probably not as sharp because I've been using it, but just before we go, I'll show you the super fine edge on these. All right, you got your little waveform there. The tip will penetrate straight through. There's no hesitation there at all. I have done a falling paper cut on this. Just drop the paper and slice it in half. I have done that with this one. All right. Sowilo has a virgin edge at the moment. I haven't cut anything with it. All right, waveform. I mean, you've got more edge on this, but I can just push cut that. All right, so I only went up from here to here on that last cut, just like that. Razor sharp. All right, now before I go, I'll do a quick flyover of both of these blades on my dirty, dirty table and just give you sort of a close-up on what they look like. Okay. And then the Sowilo. Yeah. So there you go. That's Sowilo and EternalWing Kukri. I appreciate your continued interest in Sundog Forge, and I'll catch you all on the next video. Thanks, guys.